What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Frisco Report, guys. It's Taco Tuesday. It's all kinds of crazy Tuesday out in this world, guys. Everybody be safe and do what you got to do to be safe. And if you're protesting, protest. That is your right. Joe, how are you doing?
Ready to rock and roll, man. Ready to rock and roll. You know, like you said, lots of things going on in the U.S. right now, but time to take a little bit of a break and get back to Cowboys football, man.
Cowboys football, indeed. Let's talk about what the news broke today for all NFL 32 teams. Joe, Dallas Cowboys got to host training camp in Frisco. This is the first time in a long time the Dallas Cowboys is not holding at least the first half of training camp in Oxnard, California. Reaction to that? I mean, was it kind of expected with the pandemic and all this?
Yeah, you know, you and I have been really on top of this from the jump. You know, we've really been staying on top of this COVID and the effects on the NFL, and this is one of them. You know, we talked about the face mask and that kind of thing last week, and now, you know, it is coming to fruition that the NFL is announcing that the teams will stay local. Okay, so that means the Star, you know, in Frisco. So that's and I think it's the right thing. You know, flying around and this and that, and you know. It just it makes for the potential of something to go wrong. You know, you want to remove some of that out of the equation, I think.
There's two decisions the NFL made, and what's great about it is the NFLPA, the Players Association, is agreeing on it. Number one, no joint practices, so no teams can compete against each other during training camp, and the other one is the health and safety protect players and staff are consistent with sound approach to risk management in current environment. So just, you know, keeping public out, eliminating, you know, any kind of exposure to the outside in. So the NFLPA and the NFL agreed on this. It's a step in the right direction. Like you said, Joe, we've been talking about this for a while, and it sounds like other sporting franchises are like basketball, Major League Baseball. If they start playing, Joe, that almost guarantees us a football season.
Yeah, it's definitely it'll be a good litmus test for, you know, the sports leagues that come after the people that start. It looks like the MLB is really having the hardest time with this. You know, they're talking about cutting pay and that kind of thing. But I think the NBA is going to be really the one here to really watch because they're talking about doing it like a centralized location, the ESPN Wide World of Sports and in Disney World. So it'll be interesting to see if at some point when it gets closer for the NFL, does that become something that the NFL has to consider? You know, will there be, you know, will there be one or two stadiums, like maybe like neutral sites, you know, a collegiate stadium or something like this? Who knows? You know, we know that they want stadiums to be full. I mean, the president's coming out here saying he wants full stadium. I don't see that happening. But it is good that the NFL is starting later. You know, we're talking about the summer. But you know, everybody's got to stay vigilant. You know, we don't want this to get derailed and then we don't get to watch football. That's the main thing that concerns me the most is, you know, people getting a little bit too loose with the things and as if this thing's not here anymore. It's still here, everybody. So don't let your guard down. So I don't know, Mike. What's your take on this, man?
I love it. It's a step in the right direction. And the Dallas Cowboys, they will be allowed to hold training camp workouts at the headquarters in Frisco and at AT&T Stadium. So you want to talk about incorporating how you're going to run the season if there's no fans. This is a perfect way to do it, Joe.
Yeah,
and they can get used to it however they want to do it. I know Deshaun Jackson made a comment about don't do fake crowd noises, mic up players. But that's gonna, you know, when they're calling plays and stuff like that, the mics can't be on. So, you know, that if they do that mixed with some false crowd noise, you know, I think that'd be pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, we're here to watch football, even if it's in our homes. Crowd noise, no crowd noise, mic'd up. As long as I see our Dallas Cowboys on that football field getting prepped for a season, that's great news for me. And to simulate how things are going to be without fans in the stadium is a huge plus.
Yeah, it's good, man. I think the NFL is doing the right thing. Obviously, I think this is the right thing to do. I know it's a bummer for fans not able to go to training camp and that kind of thing, but until a vaccine is up and running, um, that's the world we're living in. And then for the NFL and the games, like we talked about a couple of podcasts back, you watch the UFC. There's no crowds, but as you're focused in as a fan, you're focused in on the action. You really do forget that there's no crowd there. So now for the NFL, you're talking about larger area. You might see that, but I feel like they're gonna focus in on the action. I don't think we're gonna see wide angle shots. You're gonna probably see maybe like shots from the top. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like how they did. I think it was like NBC or one of these. Maybe it was CBS. I forget which one. But they started to utilize the different camera angles, kind of like Madden, kind of like So
yep.
Let's see what they do. I think that's what they're gonna do. You focus in on the action. You don't even notice the crowd's not there. So I think we'll be okay, man. I really do. And starting with training camp, maybe we're gonna get more concentration from the players and that kind of thing. Maybe there won't be. Not that there is, but I mean, you never know. There's distractions from the crowd and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Home field advantage is a thing. I mean, go ask Seattle. The 12th man is the 12th man for a reason, right? Cowboys stadium's so big, it's even hard to have a home field advantage. I mean, the only time there's really a home field advantage is when they're hosting a playoff game. I mean, it's decked out. Every seat, every standing room availability is all Cowboy fans. And you have that playoff atmosphere. So it could be some different home field advantages coming in here.
Yeah. I think it's I don't even know if it will be a home field advantage. It might be maybe it will, because there won't be the crowd noise. But then again,
right.
As a home team, I think I've heard a couple of players talk about this already, that they do like the home crowd pumping them up, So I think that's a little bit of a negative as far as like your home team, getting that momentum, especially on defense. The defense loves to get that ruckus going, and it does help them. That's a big part of the 12th man. On the 12th man really helps the defensive side of that team there, and I think that's across the board for a lot of teams around the NFL. So I think that will be one negative of not having fans in the stadiums.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're 100% right. But we'll see how they adapt. Like I said, get this training camp in, practice in that stadium with no fans, and get used to it. I mean, you're going to be able to hear the audibles and all kinds of stuff, and a lot of film work, a lot of film preparation on signals and their audio calls. Peyton Manning was the best, just calling things out there.
Oh, yeah.
Can quarterbacks develop that kind of thing in a quiet stadium? Well, let's move on here, Joe. We can all say that any player getting added to the Dallas Cowboys roster is pretty minimal at this point. The NFL draft is in the books, but let's break down the offense, Joe, and let's talk about it as a whole unit before we start getting into the wrinkles. And let's start with position groups. Basically, the offensive line. How satisfied are you? Travis Frederick retired. There's a few guys like Cameron Fielding that walked away. Obviously Chaz Green's already been gone. But how confident are you in the offensive line position?
The offensive line, actually, I feel pretty good. The only question mark for me, well, it's the two, really. It's your center and guard, But I think that this question mark will delve itself out during camp. We're going to find out who's going to be center. Is it going to be Looney? And then Tyler Biadasz starts somewhere in the season. Maybe that's it. Maybe they throw Biadasz to the Wolves and get him going. He comes from a well-rounded program. These guys chug out NFL-ready offensive linemen left and right every year, right? So I'm not really so worried about center. Guard, there's another question, right? So Connor Williams, is he going to be the answer there, or are the Cowboys trying to find somebody to beat him out and kind of take their loss there. They took them in the second round, and it looks like they're not getting their bang for the buck there, Mike. So
Yeah.
outside of that, I feel good about the depth. I know they added Irving, but I think maybe he's more of a camp body. He's a first-round bust. I think he's more of a salvage project. Will McClay likes to do these salvage projects for former first-round busts and that kind of thing to see if he can revive the career. I think they did an okay job with Jonathan Cooper, so I think they're trying to see if they can hit on that magic for Urban to be a swing kind of player. But
yes,
depth there for Tyron Smith. You got to make sure you're locked in there because the back flares up. We know the history there with that. But Lyle Collins, I think, is probably your second best player on this offensive line right now. I have Zach Martin as my GOAT, and then I have Lyle Collins as my second guy. Tyron Smith's my third best offensive lineman, in my opinion. I feel that Lyle Collins really made that leap at right tackle last year, and I think he's really solidified himself there at right tackle, Mike.
Absolutely. And how I feel about the offensive line, Tyron Smith, he's going to give you 13 games. If he gives you 16, it's rare. And I understand where you placed him third best. And I think it's right. I mean, he's getting older, back issues. Like I said, he can give you 13 games. He can't give you 16. You look at that left guard position, Joe. What's that going to look like? McGovern, Connor Williams. How's that going to battle out? Is it somebody that we haven't even talked about that can go in there and really make a name for themselves? And then you talk about that center position. I think it's going to be Joe Looney's to start it, and then maybe Tyler, number 63. I'm just going to say number 63 can go in there late in the season. Make some noise during practice and try to fulfill that spot. But don't get me wrong, I have a lot of faith in Joe Looney. Last time I saw him play 16 games at center, he did extremely well. And then you go to Zach Martin, the GOATs of GOATs, like you said, no problems there. Lyle Collins, the most underrated right tackle in all of football. And the swing position, is it going to be Brandon Knight? Would it be McGovern? So swing position and the left guard position is where my red flags are, Joe. But I have a great feeling and great faith in Philbin, our offensive line coach. Switching positions here as a group. Let's talk about the attachment of the offensive line. Let's talk about the tight end position. All right, how confident are you going in with the tight ends that the Dallas Cowboys have right now?
For me, I think on the offensive side of the ball, this is the biggest question mark for me. The biggest position group, right? We're looking at the position group. I think this is the biggest one on offense because you're going on projection on all these guys. You're going on projection as far as Blake Jarwin showed a couple splashes here, when given the opportunity, but we got to see it for a full season. Is he more of a guy who really excels in small quantities, or can he be the go-to tight end that you can count on him on every down tight end, right? Like a Jason Witten,
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing. Is he better suited for small quantity, or is he going to be that guy? So that's a question mark. Nobody knows that. I mean, we can only go by the season that Witten retired and they gave him the keys. He didn't look good. It wasn't good, So it's a question mark for me. And then Blake Bell, obviously, I like that one there. I like that addition. I think that's going to give you some physicality there in the blocking game, goal line, jumbo sets, and that kind of thing. And he can catch the ball too. He played. He used to be the quarterback there for the Sooners, and they moved him over. So could we see some trickery? All right, there could be some trick plays there from the tight end. We know these guys, McCarthy and Philbin, they like to run some of these trick play type of deals. You got a guy there that can do it now. All right, and Dalton Schultz and McEwen, I think they'll be in the mix, but I think it's going to be an all-out battle for everybody outside of Jarwin. Jarwin's your number one, and then a battle for the other ones, wide open for me.
Yeah, absolutely. How confident am I in Jarwin? How much did he really learn from Jason Witten? Dallas Cowboys gave them the realms under a previous era. What does Jarwin look like under Mike McCarthy? And that's going to be the telltale sign. You kind of look at how Jordan Nelson played. You look how Blake Jarwin plays. Different positions, I get it, but it's almost the same style what Blake Jarwin can do on the football field. And then you go to Blake Bell, doesn't have a lot of receptions, but the guy can block. And he took that tight end position and adjusted to it well. And then Dalton Schultz, you're not seeing the blocking Schultz that we've seen there at Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunate because there was a lot of hopes there. He had 9 balls thrown to him at college, and he caught every single one of them. This past year, you've seen a lot of holding penalties on Schultz, and it just wasn't working out for that third tight end set. And then, you talk about McCarron, the rookie, what can he bring? And, McCarron, Schultz, that might be the battle here, Joe. But, tight end position, it's all projection. I can't say this is the best tight end group of the National Football League because there's really not a lot of experience on this tight end group. Will that hurt us in the run game? Will that hurt us on 3rd and 1s? It's really to be determined.
Absolutely. That's why it's my biggest question mark on the offensive side of the ball, really.
Yeah. So let's talk about the running back position, Joe. How confident are you with the running back position?
Running back position, I think we're fine there. I love what we have in place with Ezekiel Elliott, your workhorse. Tony Pollard, your second running back. I don't really like to call him a utility or switch up back. He's a running back. Coming out of Memphis, he kind of got the tag of a change up pace type of running back, but he held his own in Memphis. He could run between the tackles. He can catch the ball, and he's got crazy speed. He hits that afterburners, and he's gone. If this offensive line opens up those holes and they give him some more opportunities, he's going to blast through there, and he's gone. He can take it to the house, and that's something you and I have talked about here. When is the last time we've seen Ezekiel Elliott take one to the house? It's not really a knock on him, but, we haven't seen it happen here. And if we want that, I think Tony Pollard is that guy that can definitely give you that home run opportunity. He's a dangerous weapon, a home run hitter for sure. And then outside of him, you got a lot of other running backs that are going to be in the mix. We still got Mike Weber. We still have, these other players that were on the team last year. And then we got Rico Dowdle, Darius Anderson, and the fullback, right? I guess we can couple him into there. Alawale, he's going to have his hands full with the rookie out of TCU, Shewo. Aladenua, and that's going to be a battle there. I'm thinking, for me, I'm hoping it's going to be the younger guy that takes over this game here. Okay, but yeah, man, I feel really good about the running backs and the fullback position. I think we're good there. I'm not really. It's not one that's really sweating me out right now.
Going with projection here, Joe. Just to ask you a question before I give you my take here. Mm-hmm. To fill in a roster spot, do they go 3 running backs, 1 fullback, or do they go 2 running backs, 1 fullback?
I think at the end of the day, I think they go 2 running backs and 1 fullback.
Okay, you heard it there from Joe. So with me, I think they're going to go 3 running backs, 1 fullback. You got 55 spots. You can either put a quarterback there, or you can protect yourself at running back. And talking about position groups at all, Jamiz Alawale, I know you have your opinion of him, but I really think this guy can excel. They had Mike McCarthy had Chung, that fullback Chung, and they try to use Chung out and catch those little out and up routes out of the fullback position, give a fake ISO look, right? And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But with Jamiz, I seen those flashes in a Raiders uniform. You kind of see those flashes in college. It never really worked out under the Jason Garrett era. It's almost like with Blake Jarwin too, right? I want to see how Blake Jarwin does under Mike McCarthy. How does Jamiz Alawale do under Mike McCarthy? They gave him a 2-year contract for a reason. They picked up the option for a reason. And I think Kellen Moore's like, wait a minute, Mike. I think we got something here in Alawale. For a rookie who you're very high on to come in and beat a vet like Jamiz Alawale, Yes, I get it, but it's still football, and knowledge can help you more than rookie mistakes. That's how Tony Romo got his collarbone broke against the New York Football Giants because of a rookie mistake for Fiametta not picking up a blocking scheme, and it broke Tony Romo's collarbone. So do you go with rookie mistakes, or do you go with a veteran presence who has potential to go be successful? And then I'm very confident with the running back position as a whole. I mean, you talk about TP and Zig. I think that's a great dynamic duo, a two-headed monster. You don't even need a three-headed monster. But if you do, Mike Weber might be that guy. And, he's learning. I believe he was on practice squad last year. So, where's his body at? Where's his mental mind at? 3 running backs, 1 fullback. I think that's how they do it. And I'm very confident at the running back position.
Yeah, it's gonna be good competition, definitely on the backside of that group for sure. I can't wait to see how it shakes out. I think we might be in for some surprises, but like you said, maybe they do stick with what they know. So we'll see what happens there. It's gonna be fun.
It's very fun. Wide receiver, Joe. How confident are you? Do the Cowboys go 5 wide receivers? Do they go 6 wide receivers? How confident are you in the wide receiver group?
The wide receiver group is pretty good at the top part of it. Okay, and I'm talking about your top 3, and it's it all starts with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CD Lamb, and then after that, that's where the competition starts for me. Okay, is it going to be Devin Smith, which I feel he's your deep threat. He's got the speed. He can give you something in the return game if they want to give him a look there. Cedric Wilson is still in the mix, but he kind of gets dinged up, so can you count on him? Noah Brown, can't body for me. Everybody falls in love with the size, but he's another one of these guys that he'll get injured, he'll pull something in camp, and he won't finish camp. Probably won't play preseason. I don't have faith in him, man. I'm done with him. So for me, Devin Smith, I think could be your 4th one. If you go 5, who would that 5th one be? Do you go with John Vay Johnson, another speedster? Do you go with do you go with Aaron Parker, the undrafted free agent out of Rhode Island? Or do you go with the Texas A&M receiver, 6'4" type of presence? Do they want to go with getting some size there? Do they want to take a look at him as a red zone threat? Throw up the ball and that kind of thing. So I think like I said, on the top part of the depth chart there, you're really, really, really strong. But after that, it's all it's open competition, and that's really what we want. McCarthy wants to keep churning this roster. I know a lot of people are still talking about Wilson, Cedric Wilson, and this and that, but him and Noah Brown have had their time here for under Garrett, and and that's something that McCarthy really doesn't. He's not known for, dragging players' careers. So if he doesn't see it, he's moving on. So we'll see. Those guys will get their shot. We'll see what they do with it.
Absolutely. I'm pretty confident in the wide receiver group, right? Let's start with the 3-headed monster: Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CD Lamb. After that, Joe, what do you got? Devin Smith, I think it would be a great addition to back up Michael Gallup or Amari Cooper. I see no problem with Devin Smith. The experience, he was a high 2nd-round pick with the Jets, just didn't work out with injuries. He came in here. He had good rapport with Dak. I mean, he got a deep ball against the Washington Redskins very early in the season, and you didn't hear from him after that again. That I think that's part of the old era. They don't give you as many chances because they take care of their quote-unquote star players, right? And then I'm looking at special teams after that. Who can really contribute to special teams? And there's a guy named Vittel Bryant, number 83, who does great punt and kickoff coverage. He made a lot of tackles on special teams last year for the Dallas Cowboys. He caught a slant pass from Dak Prescott for a touchdown there, but late in the season. So I'm looking at special teams, Joe. I think when you Cedric Wilson, to me, cannot play special teams. Noah Brown, you said it already. He done had his stint. I don't see much for him here on this football team. So that gives me 5 wide receivers right there. special teams there. And then, I think that's how I feel about the wide receiver position. Am I wrong to feel that way?
No, you make a good point about Vincent Bryant. Special teams is going to be a focus for this new team with this new administration. Not to say it wasn't for Garrett, but they just couldn't find that magic, and I don't know if it was coaching. I'm pretty sure a big part of it was. That's why these guys aren't here anymore. But that combination of coach and player, they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure it out. So, you got to keep the players that perform well in special teams, and if that's what it takes to make the team, Bryant, that's going to take him a long way. It really is. That's a good point on that player there, Mike.
Absolutely. I'm always looking out for those special teams because you got to be special. And we were 32nd. We weren't so special, Joe. Last position group, Joe, the quarterback position.
All right.
What you got for me on that?
Quarterback position, I feel great about this because you got Dak Prescott, the contract franchise. I think this crap will get figured out by July 15th. Cowboys are notorious for doing this, dragging their feet with DeMarcus Lawrence, Ezekiel Elliott, throw up the X, Dez Bryant. Dak Prescott's just going to be in the same deal. It's going to come down to, the 25th hour, like all these other guys. I'm not worried about it. I know fans are tripping out about it, about the price, and is he going to hold out? Is he going to get traded? I mean, there's all kinds of stupid stuff going on. But, guys, at the end of the day, he will be the quarterback here. And he's got a winning record here. Okay, and I love that he's going to be coached under Mike McCarthy. I think that's going to bode really well, and I think that's part of where Dak Prescott's looking at this. Like, this guy's going to really elevate me. We're going to win a lot of games here. Do I want to get stuck at this price range when in 2 years from now the market's going to be at this? But anyway, Dalton. I think this was a phenomenal acquisition. Could be one of your top acquisitions of the offseason. We gave him an honorable mention last week as far as players to watch, and for good reason. He stuck there in Cincinnati. It's almost like the Browns. Your career's just stuck in neutral there, right? They don't win a lot of games there. But I think you put him here under this program, with Mike McCarthy, he'll be prepared. If he needs to come in here and play a few games in a pinch, I think you can win with Andy Dalton. He's going to be a student of the game. We know that. He's one of the last ones out the door, so he's not cutting corners. He's got a lot of weapons at his disposal. Just game plan for this guy. If you have to put him in there to start, just get the ball to the playmakers. Pollard, Lamb. We got a lot of them, so it's going to be hard to really screw that up. And do they take a third quarterback? I think they do. I think they do carry a third quarterback, especially with the expanded roster. McCarthy's going to look to develop a quarterback. Is it DiNucci? It could be, but you won't know unless you give it a look. Okay, so carry him through the season. Let him run the scout team. He's very mobile. I like the player. I like him a lot. I've been studying up on him. I have a video coming out on him here in about 2 weeks, and I think I know he's a late pick, right? He's a late pick, so some people might be like, late pick, this and that. But McCarthy is your quarterback whisperer, and he has an eye for talent. Especially at the quarterback and wide receiver. Those are his two specialities when it comes to talent evaluation. And he got the best working with that in Green Bay. He worked under great GMs who really helped him learn how to have a keen eye for talent. Green Bay had a good history of GMs up there. And
yep.
So that really sharpened his tools, and like you and I have talked about, he's played with the best. He knows what the best is. Joe Montana, Steve Young, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. He knows what it takes, and I think they're going to give him a look. I think they're going to give that young kid a look and see what he can be, Mike.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree with you. And, I feel great about the quarterback position than I have since Cal Lorton was our backup for Tony Romo. And, this is like that scenario, right? Obviously, Cal Lorton choked against the Eagles week 17, and we didn't go to the playoffs. But it is what it is. But no. And, I feel great with Dak Prescott. I feel great with Andy Dalton. And I'm with you. I think they do carry three quarterbacks, and I think the guy is Ben DiNucci, and maybe Clay Thorson is your practice squad quarterback. And Mike McCarthy, DiNucci, they got a lot of background together, and to get drafted in the 7th round when they could have risked you in undrafted free agency pickups, they didn't do it. They didn't want to risk them. Yes, it is a 7th round pick, but they still invested that pick in them when they could have easily tried to offer him some money on the undrafted free agent list. And I think they got a steal. I think he complements Dak, but he has to be developed right at the NFL level. And you don't want to risk him to get on your practice squad. I think Ben DiNucci stays here on this football team.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I agree.
So we just went over the entire offense and broke every position group down for you, Joe. Now, what kind of wrinkles can we expect with everything we just talked about, Joe? What's 5 wrinkles that what we just talked about, these players, this offense, what can they bring to our TVs?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So we're talking about, McCarthy's done various interviews. They've tried to talk to Kellen Moore in some interviews here and there. And so you kind of get a little bit of a clue as to how this is going to work and things, right? So it's going to be, from my understanding, it's going to be Mike McCarthy's system with Kellen Moore's language. Is that your understanding too, Mike?
That's my understanding, Joe.
Yeah. So that being said, this isn't going to, you're still going to have a base of some of these base plays that the Cowboys like to run, but it's not going to be a Garrett offense predictability, right? So I think one thing that we're going to notice a little bit of a wrinkle is going to be a hurry-up offense, a change of pace offense. As fans of the Cowboys, when we be watching a game, you would love to see when Dak Prescott would execute this because he was really good in the 2-minute drill. And whenever Jason Garrett got bold, which was rare, he would try to run this, and they would execute it well. They could move the ball down the field real quick, get in the position to score. So I think McCarthy is going to use this. They did it at Green Bay. I remember watching the playoff games of the Cowboys. I hated when the Packers were executing that hurry up because our defense couldn't stop it, man. It was hard. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense. So I think we'll see more of that. It won't be very, rarely that they're going to do it. I think we'll see it in every game at some point of the game, and it won't be as rare as it was under Jason Garrett, Mike.
No, I think you're spot on with the hurry up offense, Joe. And something Aaron Rodgers does well is hurry up and get on the offensive line, hike that ball. You get a free 5-yard penalty because it's 12 men on the field.
Exactly. Yep.
And you might see that, with Mike, that might carry over to Dak Prescott. Mm-hmm. So, and what that entails is there's no substitution on the offense, so the ref won't stand there, on the hash mark with the football waiting for the defense to get ready. As long as the offense don't substitute and the defense is, you can hike that ball whenever you want. You don't got to wait for the defense. So you might see that. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Joe, but I think Dak Prescott is more accurate in a hurry-up offense. You look at his deep balls, you look at his slants. I think when he's up-tempo, he's more accurate. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And I think it's a big part of the competitive nature of Dak Prescott. I think he really shines, and you hit it right on the head. He's able to hit everything, and I think that's why fans were so they wanted to see more of it because he executed it so well when they would rarely do it, But yeah, that's a true thing. That's a fact, Mike.
What's the second one? What's the second wrinkle?
Another wrinkle that we're probably going to see, Mike, is going to be more Tony Pollard. We had this fantasy last season that Tony Pollard was going to come in here and light it up, and two back sets with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. And when the season came, none of it happened. None of it happened, and you're just like, man, what a waste of a 4th-round pick. Look what this guy does when you give him the ball, and they don't do it. That was the most frustrating thing under Garrett, man. They have talented players here, but they wouldn't use the talent. With McCarthy, he excels in putting his players in position to show off that talent, right? So I think Tony Pollard is tailor-made for Mike McCarthy's system and what they're going to want to do. And I think he's going to be one player that's really going to have the opportunity to shine. I did a poll here in my community on my YouTube channel as far as which second-year player would have the largest impact. And by no surprise, Tony Pollard led the way with a large percentage. It wasn't even close. Okay, I think a lot of fans see that, and I think McCarthy knows he has that player to make it happen.
Absolutely. Tony Pollard, we were screaming for it. We've been talking about it here on the Frisco Report. He has to get utilized. I mean, you want to talk about Jason Garrett wasting talent? He wasted the first year of Tony Pollard's career. Yeah. Because just what he brings, his elusiveness to get upfield and not get tackled. His speed to stop on a dime and get upfield. Mike McCarthy has to see that, and he has to use it. Well, I get so passionate, man. It's like the Holy Ghost coming through me when I talk about Tony Pollard. They got to give him the football, Joe. I 100% agree with the second wrinkle. What's the third one?
Yeah, another wrinkle that we're going to see, guys, is CeeDee Lamb, okay? And I know some people might be thinking, oh, that's not really a wrinkle, but here's the wrinkle. Here's the wrinkle, guys. CeeDee Lamb plays on the outside. He can play on the inside. Coach Riley had him move them all over the place there at Oklahoma. And Mike McCarthy is going to utilize that skill set. He can put him on the outside. He can put Amari Cooper in the slot. If they want to put Gallup in the slot and Cooper, the other guy on the outside, they can do that. Like, it's that in itself is going to put a lot of pressure on the defense, especially these defensive coordinators that want to carry their cornerback with their number one. They're not going to really know, who's their cornerback going to carry? Who are they going to shadow? Is it going to be CeeDee Lamb? Are they going to be able to make that adjustment? And I think that keeps the defense on their heels. And again, puts a lot of pressure on the defense. So that is the wrinkle. CeeDee Lamb is going to make defenses really question how to game plan the receiver there.
Great point, Joe. 100% agree with this wrinkle. Not only do they have to put the game plan together, you can't double coverage everybody. Zeke demands 8 in the box. You can't put 8 in the box when you got Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper out there, right? You have to double team one, but you can't double team them all. And you got a guy like Blake Jarwin playing the tight end position that can destroy you in the middle. I would love to see a linebacker versus Blake Jarwin all day long. Because if you bring that free safety down, and this is the CeeDee Lamb wrinkle, right? You bring that free safety down to get Jarwin, you just got one-on-one coverage with Michael Gallup or CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. This offense can be and will be dangerous, Joe.
Absolutely, man. That's the wrinkle, man. That's the wrinkle, everybody. The interchangeability that CeeDee Lamb brings you. You could say you could do that with Randall Cobb, but this is a different beast here. We're talking about different beast, man. So I love it, man.
What's the next wrinkle, Joe?
The next wrinkle is going to be play action, Mike, and this is kind of like the same kind of topic discussion we had with the hurry up offense. And you would see pregame shows talk about this. The Cowboys gotta run the ball and open up the play action. Well, guess what? The play action was rarely there with the Cowboys, and it seemed like it was there early in the season. You know, it looked like, oh man, here we go. Kellen Moore's got all the keys. You know, he's different than Linehan. We're kicking butt here, and then you saw it go away for some reason. Like, where did the play action go? Where did this innovative minded offense go? Like, what happened here? So, it's just more of the Garrett, you know, bumbling of the game planning and just not utilizing the talent. I think play action is really going to be another thing here that's really going to be the wrinkle. But this time they're really going to use it. You know, I think they'll really be able to use it here with McCarthy, especially with that three-headed beast at wide receiver, Mike.
Yes, play action is Dak Prescott's strength. We're talking about the hurry-up offense. Play action, Dak is more accurate in play action, too. The stats are there. Yeah. Go look them up. And that opens up everything, right? Those linebackers bite on Zeke getting that football. They bite on TP getting that football. And CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, Blake Jarwin, they all benefit from that play action. But you have, yes, we just talked about the CeeDee Lamb wrinkle, but you have to build that running game in order to set up that play action. And if you're ranked probably 17th to 32nd, we're going to pound you with Zeke and save some wide receiver legs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what's going to happen. You know, I love this. I love this wrinkles here that we're talking about here, Mike. The next one, it's a little bit of
the last one.
Yeah, the last one. The fifth one is the addition of Coach Joe Philbin, the offensive line coach. And how this is a wrinkle is when McCarthy got hired into this team, one of his key additions he knew he had to make was getting the right offensive line coach to run his offense, right? I like what Colombo did with the Cowboys offense. He was obviously a lot better, you know, when he took over. You know, you saw the offensive line kind of look, you know, they got back on track. But I think a key part of the success of Mike McCarthy's success in Green Bay was his assistant, Joe Philbin. And for him to take over the offensive line, you're going to see some more concepts. Obviously, you're still going to see the zone blocking scheme, but you're going to see some of the more of the Joe Philbin concepts to really tire out the defense. And we're talking about, you know, doing some pulls, that kind of thing. And he knows he can execute this with this offensive line, you know, whether it's Zach Martin pulling one of the corners. Both of them are athletic to do it. So I love this. I love this. You know, keep those big bodies moving, tire out that defensive line.
Yes, 1,000% agree with Joe Philbin here. He has offensive coordinator experience. He has head coaching experience. He has offensive line experience, okay? And the zone schemes is very important because that opens up the holes, right? You talk about Emmitt Smith days. That was a zone scheme, right? Not saying that we're bringing the 90s back to the Cowboys, right? But what I'm saying is when you teach those offensive line the technique and how to move and how to adjust and open up lanes, it's dangerous, Joe.
Yeah, it is. And it's all about keeping these athletic offensive linemen that we have to get to the second level, you know, blow up those linebackers. And when you do that, Zeke's going to feast. Tony Pollard's going to hit some home runs, and we're going to see more points on the scoreboard, baby.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. Well, guys, that concludes the Frisco Report on this Tuesday, guys. Joe, where can they find you?
Yeah, guys, you can find me on YouTube. That's really where I reside at, and that's just look me up, Cowboys Blog. All right, Cowboys Blog on YouTube. Hit me up on Twitter, Cowboys Blog Net, and on Instagram, Cowboys Blog Net. Okay, guys?
Absolutely, guys. You can also find the Frisco Report, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google Play. Go to thefriscoreport.com. Joe's channel is linked on top of there as well as mine. There's also Father's Day merch coming, guys. So make sure you go check that out. If you're a dad, if your dad listens to this, look at him. Don't you have a discount code or something going on right now, Joe?
Yeah, June 1st until the end of the week, which is right around the corner. But I will have another one here for Father's Day. But yeah, go hit it up. thefriscoreport.com. Have a lot of new merch that just dropped. We got the Wolf Hunter Cowboys blog. We got the Frisco Report signature shirt there. So, you guys that love listening to the podcast, we know it. We see the numbers. Thank you guys out there. Show some love and tag us. If you pull some of this Frisco Report merch, tag me and Mike, and we'll gladly, retweet it out there, guys.
Absolutely. And at the Frisco Report on Twitter, guys. Thank you for listening. I'm Dallas Cowboy Football News on YouTube and on Facebook. DCF News 1 on Twitter, guys. Give me a follow, give me a mention, give me a DM. That's where the conversation starts. Until next time, we'll be back with a new episode of the Frisco Report next Tuesday, guys. Tune in. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Peace.
Peace.